We begin this midday with a developing story on the city's northeast side. An officer-involved shooting that began with a carjacking. Just before 9 this morning, officers were called to the area of 28th Street and Post Road on the report of a carjacking. The victim told police their vehicle had been taken at gunpoint by several people in another vehicle. A short time later, officers found the suspect's vehicle and the victim's vehicle on Cavalier Court, not far from 38th and Post Road.
The officer encountered the vehicle or encountered the suspects, and at some point, an officer-involved shooting occurred. We can tell you that one individual was struck by gunfire and transported to an area hospital, and at last check, that individual was in critical condition.
At least one other suspect took off from the area in a dark gray vehicle, and at least one gun was found at the scene. We have learned that no officers were hurt in this.
Very fast. Violence came to the officer very quickly.
A quiet night turned into a deadly shootout in a South Phoenix neighborhood after a man pulled out a gun and shot a Phoenix police officer early Tuesday morning.
That is very bad. Police are out here to save us, to protect us.
Investigators tell us 2 patrol officers had stopped a man on his bicycle for a traffic violation around 3 in the morning near 10th Street in Southern. They say the suspect became combative and started fighting with one of the officers. Moments later, the man reportedly pulled out a gun and shot the officer in the leg. The other officer fired back, hitting the suspect.
The violence came, and it came quick. From my understanding, the officers conducted the traffic stop, and within 2 minutes, an officer had been shot.
The injured officer and the suspect were both rushed to a nearby hospital where the suspect died a short time later. We're told the officer's injuries were not life-threatening. Phoenix Police Chief Michael Sullivan spoke to the officer shortly before he went into surgery.
I was just encouraging him and letting him know that we're around him and we're going to take care of him and make sure that he gets the medical care that he needs to be able to recover from these injuries.
According to Chief Sullivan, this is the 3rd Phoenix officer shot in the line of duty this year, and there was another that was stabbed. He's concerned about the growing number of people willing to take shots at police.
I came down this way and I saw the command vehicle.
Mike Webb lives a couple blocks away from where today's shooting happened. He said this kind of thing is taking place far too often.
Whoever this guy was, whatever, he just has no respect for our community. These officers work hard. They, deserve better treatment than they're getting, and that's just the times we're in these days. It's sad.
We're told the injured officer has been on the force for a little more than a year. As for the suspect, we are still waiting on his name and whether or not he had any kind of criminal past, which could give us some insight as to why he reportedly pulled a gun on that officer. As soon as we get any new information, we'll let you know. Reporting live in Phoenix, Jason Berry for Arizona's Family.
Authorities say 5 Kansas City, Missouri and 2 Kansas City, Kansas police officers returned fire in a highway shootout last night. It ended a bi-state chase involving a carjacking suspect. I'm John Holt.
And I'm Bria Love. The suspect officers say opened fire on police is dead. The KBI now taking the lead on this. Fox 4's Jacob Kittelstad joins us live overlooking the shootout scene along 18th Street Expressway in Kansas. So Jake, what do we know about the man who died?
Well, Bria, the KBI is just calling him a 41-year-old man right now. They aren't releasing his identity as authorities are trying to notify his family. Another suspect is also in custody, and we're awaiting word on any potential charges there as well. 18th and Steel. This is the general area where the driver of a stolen SUV dropped off another suspect, a 21-year-old male passenger, Monday evening. Police immediately arrested that person, but the pursuit continued. Further into KCK, here's where a Kansas Highway Patrol trooper did a tactical vehicle intervention, something like a pit maneuver, spinning out the stolen SUV and bringing it to a stop. That car has its origins here, just south of 18th and Vine, a desolate area near 24th Street and Highland Avenue. At 6:45 p.m., a woman called Kansas City, Missouri police after getting carjacked, saying 2 male suspects stole her GMC SUV at gunpoint. This is where officers spotted it. About an hour and a half later, the 1500 block of the Paseo, starting the pursuit that would end in this area with the spin out. According to a KBI press release, once disabled, the suspect fired at officers and was hit multiple times when they returned gunfire. He was pronounced dead at a local hospital after being given aid at the scene by police and EMS. So no information has been released by investigators about the suspect's weapon just yet, John. We're going to be looking at that, waiting for that information to come in from KBI. They're considered the outside investigator in this officer-involved shooting.
In what appears to be a plea for help, surveillance video shows a man flagging a passing police officer as he rolls through the intersection at Cicero and Gladys late on Memorial Day. As the Chicago police squad car passes and stops a few feet away, the same camera angle shows two men begin a standoff, circling and stutter-stepping in the west side intersection before one swats at the other. One man then trips and falls to the ground. We've frozen the video right there because police say what happened next was a violent attack. In the part of the video we're not playing, police say one man repeatedly stabs the other as he lays in the street. Surveillance video from a neighboring store shows the same attack from the other side. More than 10 seconds pass, and in that time, police say officers standing with guns drawn repeatedly ordered the alleged assailant to drop his weapon. Police say when he refused to cease, their officers fired and the alleged attacker falls to the ground.
Out in the middle of the intersection of Gladys and Cicero, they got two down right now.
Investigators say police bullets hit both men, the alleged attacker and his alleged victim. At least two officers paced the street, radioing in.
You said they got two people down in the intersection, Cicero and Gladys?
The man who collapsed from police gunfire, the Cook County Medical Examiner says, was Tracy Watson, who died at the hospital. Their first backup unit arrives moments later, and it's not long before the South Austin intersection is flooded with bystanders and police attempting to control the chaos of a crime scene. What happened here is now part of two investigations, one by Chicago police, the other by the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, who will determine if the officer's deadly gunfire was warranted.
A man who shot his ex-girlfriend and then fired shots at first responders who were trying to save her life. Now, police say the suspect shot that woman shortly after she took out charges against him.
The woman was shot at the magistrate's office in Catawba County overnight and then drove herself to the Marketplace Shopping Center on Northwest Boulevard looking for help. Now, that is where the suspect fired at officers and paramedics. Channel 9's Dave Faraday was the first reporter on that scene. And Dave, you're learning that that suspect jumped out of a moving car.
Yes, Scott, we found that out first thing this morning, that the suspect, Jamar Robinson, jumped out of his minivan in about this area over here and then started shooting at officers off in that direction. He also fired at an ambulance that was parked over there, helping a victim of a shooting minutes earlier. We are also learning that inside that ambulance was that victim and that his car, which was still moving through the parking lot, went about 40 yards here before striking another vehicle.
SBI agents spent more than 9 hours collecting evidence at the Marketplace Shopping Center in Newton. We could see dozens of evidence markers and shell casings nearby this morning. Police say the suspect, Jamar Robinson, first shot his ex-girlfriend at the magistrate's office shortly after midnight. She was hit, but was able to drive away and call 911. They directed her to this shopping center, where a half dozen officers and an ambulance met her.
Domestic violence cases are some of the most dangerous that affect our society, certainly affect law enforcement. This is also another episode of continuing violence against law enforcement officers.
Police say Robinson pulled into the parking lot after the victim and jumped out of his minivan and began shooting at police and the ambulance where the woman was being treated. Investigators say no one inside the ambulance was hurt by the gunfire. Police say they returned fire and Robinson was struck and later died at the hospital. We spoke with co-workers of the woman today who hope she makes a full recovery.
It was heartbreaking. She's very sweet and I love her. It shouldn't have happened, but you know, prayers up for the family.
And we found out from sheriff deputies that ambulance crew kept helping the woman inside the ambulance after it was fired upon, even taking her to the hospital, Scott, after that ambulance was struck by gunfire. Reporting live from Newton, I'm Dave Faraday, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.